Hi, I'm Hexaber, and this is Unity of Command 2 Firebrand and Brimstone mission on hard. 3, 2, 1. Right, so this mission is easily the hardest in the Desert Rats DLC. There are contenders like the Crusader, or Second El Alamein sometimes is tricky, but absolutely Firebrand is the most difficult, most annoying. And make sure, I can't stress this enough, make sure you get both cards for naval bombardment, because the more naval bombardments you get here, the better. And, well, 2 cards is the absolute maximum for this DLC, unless you buy stuff. Right, I don't even know if you can buy that specific card, if you can get lucky, if it's buyable at all. Anyway, so what do I do in this playthrough? And one of the things you need to do, and this is something I mentioned in my Kraken video, is that you need to take as many initial positions. By the way, that little paradrop is going to be a mistake, as you will see very soon. Take as many original landing points as possible. Obviously, do what I've just done in Corsica. Corsica is the harder parts. And on Sardinia, I take the northern and the southern beach or landing sites. And this, by the way, paradrop is more successful. And drop both of your divisions there, like in the south, just in the protected area where the Germans will not be able to send a bunch of tanks and destroy that paratrooper division, because paratroopers have better stats. They have better defense and better attack. As you can see, that paratrooper is dead now. So what you can do, essentially, it's very likely, especially if you followed my my guides, you're very likely to, your HQs are very likely to end up with plenty of specialist steps from all sorts of previous missions, including, say, El Alamein, and you will have something to give, as I've done with the other paratrooper division. Right, so you will always have something to give those paratrooper divisions, turning them effectively into these huge spearhead elite formations for taking Cagliari, and, well, helping out in the rest of the mission, so don't waste them. I actually made the mistake here. It's, well, as you can see, the mission is easy enough not to make these kinds of mistakes, so, but you don't have to. I've made those mistakes so that you don't have to. And so, yeah. Beyond that, check out that SS division that I'm currently attacking. This is very nice that it's just rode out into the open. Generally does that if you take the airfield and just focus all of your attention on it. This is essentially your main obstacle on Corsica. If it's dead, it's going to be so much easier to actually take Bastia, which is the more difficult objective here. Which can cause you trouble. Right, and so at this point, yeah, just push out. Try to take, well, Gulf of Oristano was a bit difficult. I didn't want to use that naval bombardment there, but I did, because obviously it's turn 2, as far as I remember, objectives, so, yeah, there's no choice there. But generally, the Gulf of Oristano, and I mentioned that as well in my cracking video, kind of tends to attract a bit more attention from enemy motorized and general counterattackers than you would usually like to. So, yeah, if you can take it, take it. But otherwise, maybe just wait. So, like, focus on the northern and the southern. Northern just to distract, as you can see, like, I've distracted a lot of enemy troops, like, and I'm not getting any significant counterattackers in the south. So, meaning that in the south, I can be pretty comfortable doing whatever I want. Right? And still, you can do, like, at Porto Conte, don't get too aggressive. You're probably not going to have enough troops there, and the area is flat, so it's very amenable to enemy tanks, so you might get into trouble, just like with my paratroopers. But do use opportunities to destroy, to cause trouble, so absolutely. It's just unlikely that you'll take Sassari with these guys, so don't expect that, especially since you don't have many troops at that landing site to begin with, so yeah. So let's see what I'm doing on the third turn, and obviously this is not going to take 12. So the next step, obviously with Porto Vecchio, you can see what I'm doing with Bastia. I'm going to, like, inch my way along the coast, waiting for the tanks. Make sure you don't lose too many tanks during the previous mission. which is what was I don't remember the mission that comes before us. So there are green American tank divisions. Please don't lose too many tanks, too many steps in those divisions. Oh, I got lucky there with that enemy motorized division. So it was with rear guard. I actually did not expect that. So it was very easy to take Oristano and like essentially kind of solidify my foothold here. And like this turn was really lucky for me in that regard, that I was pretty comfortable already in the middle of the island and would not have to worry about any counterattack at the Gulf of Oristano objective because they would not be able to cross the river. Right. And so make sure that you don't lose those tanks because you will not be able to reinforce them because the HQ you will get here it has nothing to do with any HQs you see in the previous mission, right? So you're not gonna get any kind of reserve or specialist steps or reinforcements. So make sure those tanks get regular status, but so no longer green, but they don't like die almost completely in the process, right? So do that. It's actually the more difficult objective, like unspoken objective of that previous mission, right? Whose name I don't remember. Catalyst, yeah, that's right. So in Catalyst, like taking the objectives that Americans roughly are supposed to take, City Bozid and Catherine Pass, are not that difficult. You've got plenty of infantry to deal with it. Tanks, though, yeah, try to maybe reduce an enemy unit to suppressed, maybe like make sure it's pretty weak to begin with, and like make them regular. Those tanks you will really need. And it's already turn 4, which means that tanks are coming. And so my current position here is not the perfect, and like actually not my best result in the beginning of the mission of this mission, really. Like, not the best result for the early phase of this mission. Like, that's the good way of putting it. So, I have been able to actually take Cagliari on turn 3, but, well, that's the way it's happened this time. And so, yeah. And by turn 3, once you're done, as you can see, I'm just bringing in my elite panzer formations, or tank formations. So, and just destroying all these guys. Don't forget that you really don't need to follow that road in between the mountains. You can actually outflank this whole area, like ride on the bank of that river and like not worry about roads and the enemy kind of trying to block you with its zones of control. So you can actually use that eastern part of the island to outflank the enemy and block the railway line and secure your push along the railway line from Oristano to Sassari and ultimately Olbia. Right, so, and as you can see, I'm kind of being careful around the northern landing in Sardinia, and, well, yeah. And let's see what's happened. Well, I've already predicted what's going to happen, so my tanks are going to push in the east, and essentially end all enemy resistance in the middle of the map, so in the middle of the island. Germans are kind of counterattacking at Porto Conte, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point of it. So you don't need to push too far there. So just make sure they work to distract the AI into trying to maybe like kick you out back into the sea. And eventually they will probably not be able to do that, especially if you have like units with AT guns and everything. So, but you will distract them, and eventually once it's time to take Sassari, they will be able to help. Alright, so I am gradually advancing towards Bastia, and don't forget that your paratroopers are elites, so maybe not make the same mistake I did. So, as you can see, by the way, my tanks are kind of busted, but, like, what you see there is roughly enough. I don't think you really need, like, super-duper untouched tanks, but, like, the healthier they are, the better, so, yeah. And here's my big push, so thankfully that infantry division is weak, and I do not have to breach through any zones of control, and I'm gradually kind of clearing the area around Sassari. Thankfully, yeah, that tank division is not going to, like, cause me any trouble anywhere else, so this is great. Unfortunately, that motorized division, oh, nice. So I'm advancing pretty successfully here as well. And pretty much the front for the Germans, the defense for the Germans is collapsing very quickly. It's like increasingly so. So next turn, I probably will not be able to take Sassari. I'm probably not going to be that interested in taking Sassari, because I think it's a turn 7 objective. And so, yeah, just push forward. Olbia is absolutely and by far more difficult objective. Well, it's pretty clear right now. It's like the AI is concentrating all of its troops there, and its goal is more like, it's not really even to prevent me from taking Olbia. It's to prevent me from taking it on time, and like it doesn't even need. And this is a mistake, by the way. So the AI is really like refocusing on Sassari and creating new defensive lines to prevent me from like taking that railway line. But like, come on, it's a plane. Actually, the AI has made a mistake there. So in order to prevent me from outflanking that mechanized division, they did not take a more favorable defensive position behind the bridge, which would have been much more annoying to me. And because like the other bridge I wouldn't have been able to take. And Bastia, it's time for Bastia, so turn 6. And I use my 3 French units to actually take this place. Don't worry about any kind of counterattacks. Make sure you send a strong unit there, but otherwise, the Italians are pretty passive here, so... Yeah, and by the way, here's my... the camera just moved, panned, away from Porto Vecchio. But as you have seen, so it's completely out of supply, and this is pretty much the gambit here. You block their supply line, you kind of rely on their being passive, not trying to push anywhere. And by the way, that motorized division is dead, or mechanized division, and blammo, I don't have to worry about that bridge again, so... And they will not be able to, for example, actually destroy that bridge, which would have been an even better idea in this case. So the AI is kind of failing here. Generally, the AI in this game is great, but these, like, as you can see, I've managed to breach that bridge, so managed to cross it very easily. So not breach, but cross it. Very easily, so they're not going to stop me on my way to Olbia, and you will, as you will see, they will not stop me. It's very easy here, and so that was a big mistake. So make sure to like retreat to defensible positions, kids, and don't worry about losing certain like important sections of the map, right? Yeah, that's the little recommendation for the all of these those AIs growing up to like make our lives hell in video games. Right, so but right now, like, yeah, that, like, had that bridge been destroyed, that would have been annoying. That would probably have cost me the mission, and would have made me restart it, because it would have been really, really annoying, and probably would have stopped me for a turn, slowed me down for a turn. I would not have been able to actually take Olbia on time. But right now, so Sassari is kind of... I remember, actually, that, like, I just realized, oh, crap, I need to take Sassari, and the unit that's sitting inside of it is pretty nasty, pretty strong, so I was kind of worried that, And by the way, what I'm doing right now is a bit of a mistake, so if you send that tank division into the hex next to Olbia, make sure it's got counterattack. So the counterattack order, because the Germans will counterattack there, so your own counterattack order is going to be very useful in destroying all of those attackers, or actually stymieing them, preventing them from, well, continuing with what they wanted to do. So don't do what I did. Ultimately, I succeeded here, and like, in pretty much the idea here is a turn in advance. At least, like, what you do is at least a turn in advance before you take Olbia. Oh, by the way, Porto Vecchio is mine. You send a tank then into the hex next to Olbia. You give it counterattack. The Germans try to clear that hex. You damage and destroy as many of them as possible, so weakening the overall defenses. Eventually you retreat, and then, well, you retake that hex and retake Olbia. Once you have more infantry closer to Olbia, you just will have someone to actually take the hex. Right. And unfortunately, this tank division sustained more damage than it should have. Because of that absent counterattack order. Right, and this is the last turn in the mission. I will take Sassari, so Sassari is actually a turn 8 objective. Oh no, so, I made a mistake. So Sassari is turn 8 objective, Olbia is turn 9 objective. But still, my strategy stands here. Probably that taking that road southeast of Olbia is probably another interesting approach, but as you can see, the weather wasn't clement here, and I had to, well, deal with what I got. It's also since I kind of, in this playthrough, I kind of got lucky destroying lots of German and Italian troops here. So sometimes the AI manages to set up a decent defense in the southeast of Olbia, so sometimes it just doesn't work. So use it as kind of this plan B, maybe as a supporting push, but don't expect this to be something that you can rely on. Right. And so I'm just using my air attacks, so it's like it's not gonna... Well, I shouldn't have done what I did there with the attack on Olbia, but... And by the way, that once again, they're trying to kick me out from that... keep me out of that hex. That's pretty much what the AI does. That you can actually, in the scenario editor, you can actually set the AI to kind of be zealous to defend certain hexes, and this is what they're doing. I haven't checked what the scenario actually looks like in the scenario editor, but this is pretty much what was done there, and the AI will defend that specific, and probably all of the hexes just around Olbia. So make sure you use that tactic, push in, counterattack, probably get kicked out, and then, well, send someone else in and take Olbia. Alright, so I guess this is it for the mission. Right now I'm just doing unnecessary things, and maybe killing enemies and everything, but that's Firebrand and Brimstone for you. The difficult mission of the mostly rather easy DLC, Desert Rats. Cheers, and until next time.